I would like to see more trainers that give a shit. That's what I like to see more of. People like you, people that want to try to make things happen, that really care about what they do, that take this fitness journey as a real career, not just a side hustle. And that's what I love, about this industry. People that give a shit because they are so valuable and so important for our industry.
This was Kevin, aka K-Swiss Fit, talking about what he would like to see more of in the fitness industry. But before we jump into the full interview, I want to welcome you to the Upside Strength Podcast, your #1 fitness resource in Switzerland. On this show, we interview personal trainers and coaches from all over the country to help connect, inform, and grow the local fitness community. I'm your host, Sean Seal, founder of Upside Strength, and in this episode, I interview Kevin Ferreira. Kevin is a certified trainer based out of Geneva, Switzerland, who has developed a passion for helping others live a better and healthier life. In this episode, Kevin and I talk about his background as an athlete, how he became a personal trainer, what his learning strategy is, why you shouldn't pick random exercises off Instagram, and much more. If you're new here, please consider subscribing so you can get instant access to all of our new content as soon as it becomes available. In the meantime, thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show. Hey Kevin, thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, of course. So for those who don't know you, who are you? What do you do?
Well, I guess I'm a coach. My name is Kevin. They call me K-Swiss Fit. I got this nickname because I lived in New York before, and my name is Kevin. I'm from Switzerland, so they just put it together.
Yeah.
K-Swiss Fit. I've been training people for 7 years now, general pop clients and high-level athletes as well. And basically, that's it.
Okay, great. How did you get into coaching in the first place? What brought you to it?
Well, that's kind of a long story, but I'll keep it honest with you, because we always try to make it sound sexy. But the truth is that I moved to New York a few years ago, and I wasn't making any money, and I was already training a lot because I was an athlete. I was fighting. I had a personal trainer myself back then. And, people would come up to me all the time and ask me for advice, tips, ask me if I was a trainer. And I saw an opportunity. I was like, maybe I can make money, right? I thought it was just going to be a side hustle. And I quickly realized that it was just more than training people and putting people through a kick-ass workout. And I got the chance to meet my fitness mentor. His name is AB. And he's been in the game for over 2 decades right now, and he's just super knowledgeable. And when I met him, I kind of asked him to take me under his wing. In the beginning, he was a little skeptical, but finally he accepted. And I'll be forever thankful because he taught me the real principles of training. He made me realize that we really could have an impact on people's lives. And that's when my perspective about coaching started to change, right? You went from being a side hustle where I could just make money, and now I was like, okay, I want to make it into a real career, right? This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And, as I started coaching people, I really realized that I had this opportunity to see people multiple times a week, which doctors don't, right? Most therapists don't. So it's like, wow, I can really do something about their health. And this is why I decided to take it very seriously, and I still do it. But that's kind of how I got into coaching.
Can you maybe take a step back and tell us a little bit about your career as an athlete? So you said fighting. What sports did you do?
Well, I started off boxing when I was 12.
Yeah.
That was my first sport. Still my favorite sport. Then moved on to Muay Thai, did a few fights, MMA, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been a big fan of combat sports. And, I played a little bit of football, soccer for Americans, here and there, basketball, but just, in the streets with my boys, but nothing crazy. But I was very dedicated about fighting. I used to train 6-7 times a week. And it's just something I love doing. I just don't practice as much as I used to.
With your experience as an athlete, could you talk a little bit about the difference in training between an athlete that's training for a sport and a competition, and then general population that's training to lose a bit of fat or get fitter, build some muscle? Could you talk about that a little bit?
Mm. Yeah, sure. I think, I like to say that when I train an athlete or when I train a general pop client, I'm just training in human being, I would say that the differences lie in the training modalities.
Mm.
I can do certain things with athletes that I would never do with general pop clients because simply they don't need to, right? So with general pop clients, I would just focus on the basics. And with athletes, I would focus on the basics most of the time because this is my training philosophy. But I would add a little bit more for specificity. But for most of the time, it's always the same thing. When I train a general pop client or an athlete, my goal is to give them what they need and what they want, right? So they hire me for a specific goal that they want to achieve. And all right, this is my job. I'm going to design a program, a plan so that we can achieve that goal. And me as a coach, my job is to figure out what they need so that I can give them what they need as well. And the same thing goes for an athlete and a general pub client. An athlete is just chasing performance. The general pub client is just chasing, I don't know, maybe it might be the look, overall health. So it's all about how I'm going to approach the situation, the program, depending on what the client wants and what the client needs.
Do you have a favorite client type or profile that you like to work with? Do you prefer general population? Do you like working with athletes? What's your thing?
Mm. Well, man, that's a good question, and a lot of people have been asking me this question lately because I've been fortunate enough to work with elite athletes, and I don't know how to answer it. To be honest with you, I like working with both, and it is the truth. It's just the reward is different. Um, and I like to say this: I like to train Joe from the supermarket as if he was a NBA superstar, and I like to train the NBA superstar as if he was Joe from the supermarket.
That's
You
a good.
know, right? So they get the same treatment. I like both. Well, let's put it like this: when I train an athlete, they already at the top level. So I can bring 5% of greatness to their athleticism, their fitness level, right? But 5% at that level, it makes a huge difference, right? Little details make a huge difference. But when I train a general pop client, and I'm talking about the committed ones, not the ones that are just come because they want to break a sweat and they just want you to count their reps. So, the reward is different. With athletes, I can use different training modalities, so it makes it more fun for both of us. And for general pop clients, we just stick to the basics, and with time, it takes more time, but we'll see them. They get stronger over time, and it's rewarding. I love it. So I love working with both. To be honest with you, what about you?
I'm a little bit like you. I see myself as a generalist. I like to work with a lot of different people. As much as I work with the rugby team here in Nyon, with some of the junior Swiss guys as well, still in rugby. I like general population as well. I train with athletes again in sports, so I like it all, and it's a welcome change as well when you go from one group to the other or one client to the other. It's not always the same. I like a lot of different things in that regard. Um, when it comes to so what do people usually come to you for? What are you known for in terms of your specialty?
Mm. So I'm known for they call me the mobility guy. Especially people come to me when they deal with joint issues. And yeah, basically, mainly now as they start working with me, they see that it's more than that. I like to call myself a strength coach, a strength guy, because it all comes down to strength at the end of the day. So it doesn't matter if it's mobility, whatever the case may be, it's all about strength. If we improve your strength, we'll improve everything else, right? So yeah, I like to call myself a strength guy, but people come to me mainly for mobility work, and basically when people are fucked up, they call me. It's like, oh, maybe what this guy is saying is right. So I'm gonna give it a shot. Let's go. I already tried this physiotherapist. I tried this chiropractor. I tried two trainers. Maybe what this guy is saying makes sense, and that's when they call me. But yeah, basically that's it. I'm the mobility guy, I guess.
For those who don't know about Dr. Andrea Spina and FRC and FR, could you tell, and Kinstretch as a class format? I think it's pretty new here in Europe. It's growing slowly. It's taken quite a big big reach in North America already. I took FRC a few years back with Dr. Spina. That was a really good seminar. I enjoyed it a lot. So can you talk a little bit about this, let's say, framework that you work with in terms of mobility and mostly strength, like you said, but within individual joints, etc.
Well, the FRC or the FRS system, that's how they call it. It's a system that focuses on joint health and joint strength. So we work a lot on improving the articulation capacity. So the goal is I'm trying to put it in an easy way so that people can understand. But basically, we want to make sure that your joint can move freely in different ranges of motion, and we want to make sure that your joint is stable, no matter what angle you put the joint in, right? So this is the principle behind it, and the difference between the FRC and they have different
acronyms.
How do you call modalities? I guess the FRC is just the one-on-one approach.
Mm-hmm.
Is the overall principle that they use, and the FR is the manual system. So you would add the manual therapy to it, and the Kinstretch is the group setting, basically. So you use the FRC principles for a class. But yeah.
How is Kinstretch received here in Switzerland? Considering it's kind of trying to make stretching sexy again, right? It's one of those I don't want to do boring stretching and stuff, but I feel like putting it in a class format and using the kind of flow sequences that they do is a pretty interesting concept. How is it received over here?
Well, it's funny because when I took the first seminar, I think it was one of the first practitioners here in Europe, and that's for the Kinstretch instructor. I'm one of the few here in Europe as well. I think we're probably 5 instructors, and I've been teaching classes for, I think now it's my 2nd year, and it's like, it's slowly taking off. Switzerland is super slow.
Mm-hmm.
And I see some of my peers in Canada, they have classes packed with 40 people. I'm like, fuck me, I got to move to the States. But here, we're way behind here in Switzerland. How it's received, it's new, man. The difference between the Kinstretch classes and the other classes is that it requires the students to be very aware, and it requires them to use their brain a lot. It's not just you come and you try to replicate the movement. So during the class, I always tell them that they have to listen to me more than just look at me, because they have to understand the principles so that then they can apply the principles, right? And then it makes sense. Because if you just try to replicate, if you just look at me, you won't be able to understand what's going on. It's a lot of internal work, right? So it's kind of hard for Switzerland right now. They don't, we don't have this fitness culture. So people now, they just go to a class. They want to, they just want to break a sweat, or if they want to stretch, they just want to hold a stretch. You tell them what to do, to just do it. They don't want to think. And this Kinstretch class pushes you to think. So it's just a different, it's just different, and it's slowly taking off now. I have more people come. The people that come to my classes, the students, are mainly people that are already in the fitness space.
Mm.
So I have pole dancer teachers. I have a gymnast. I have a lot of yoga practitioners, a lot lately. So yeah, people that kind of that already have this mentality that they want to learn. So for the general public, it's either you like it or you hate it, right? So So yeah, it's that's why it takes time, But we'll see where we're gonna take it. I don't know.
I think the interesting thing with that is that you're one of the first ones, right? So you might be early, but when it kicks off, then you'll have been here for a few years, which is always a good thing, a good leg up to have, right?
That's true, man. It's funny you mentioning that because I really thought about giving up, and I was like, it makes no sense. Sometimes I have a bunch of ideas coming back from North America, or they are in the future, and we're 10 years behind here, and I have a few ideas. I'm like, okay, I'm going to bring this to Switzerland, and then I'm like, no, they're not ready. It's a waste of time for me, and probably I'm going to spend a lot of money with no return. So I think Switzerland is all about, you want to hit them at the right moment,
Yeah.
right? So you just got to come at the right time. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep pushing it a little bit. I'm going to see where I can take it for the next maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
Maybe it's going to start taking off slowly,
Yeah.
and I'm going to be one of the first ones. Yeah, obviously. So we'll see. But it's true. It's not easy. It's not easy. If you are ahead of your time, it's not. Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. Let's put it like that.
I guess it requires a lot of patience.
Oh man, it requires a lot of patience. Definitely, definitely. I guess this is why, as a fitness professional or fitness enthusiast, I miss North America every day. It's just because of the culture.
Right.
We don't have this culture here yet,
Not yet.
but it's coming. It's coming little by little. We were speaking about it, right? Yeah, right. It's slowly but surely, but we're getting there. What are your thoughts on that?
Same. I think it's taking some time, but it's coming around. There's a lot more here in Nyon, where I grew up and where I came back after 7 years in Canada. There used to be one or two gyms, and now there's probably six or seven. So it's maybe one gym a year, something like that. That's opening up.
Right.
But whereas people before, people I feel do a lot more sports here than just go to the gym. They join a team, they do something like that. They're also, I think, overall not as active in terms of physical activity as the culture is in North America in general. I mean, Vancouver was, I guess, pretty particular in that regard because everybody's going outside, hiking, doing sports. It's a very outdoorsy kind of environment, which I never found it to be the case around here. But I think people are warming up to the idea of going to the gym, and it's becoming a thing. It's taking time, like you said, but I think it's coming around, and in a few years, it's going to keep growing. And so we have to put out the best information that we can so that people know what to do, don't get hurt is the most important thing, and try to enjoy whatever the gym has to offer as best as possible. Um, going back to you, as a not only a trainer but as an athlete, what do you mind talking about your own training routine a little bit? What do you do? What do you like doing? Are you pursuing any specific goals, or are you really just focusing on the business and maintaining yourself in terms of physical health?
Well, I'm not focusing on the business. I'm always focusing on the business, obviously, but I decided to stop working with a few clients, especially in the afternoon, so that I can have time for myself.
Mm.
Because I realized as a trainer, you just have a bunch of appointments back to back, and then you don't have time to eat properly, you don't have time to sleep properly.
Mm.
And I've done it, been there, done that, and I don't want to do it anymore. I want to give a good service. I don't want to be looking at my watch, and I want to enjoy what I'm doing. I want to keep it healthy. So I try to make time for myself. I try to train 4 times a week at least. If I can train every day, I try to train every day. My training is going to change depending on my current goals. Every year, I try to set new goals, and then I plan accordingly. So now I've been focusing for the fun. We coming now is 2020 soon, so I'll have to set new goals. But for 2019, I had two main goals. It was a gymnastic goal and a weightlifting goal. I wanted to get stronger overall.
Mhm.
So I've been doing 4 sessions. Um, 4 sessions a week, 4 strength sessions. I've been trying to add some weight, add some muscle as well. And I have a very fast metabolism, so it's very hard for me. I have to eat a lot,
Yeah.
almost like, more than 4,000 calories to put on muscle. So it's been very hard, especially when you don't eat a lot of junk food. So
Yeah.
it's been the main challenge for me. So coming back to training 4 times a week, I split upper body and lower body.
Mhm.
I like to keep my athleticism, as I say. I like to box from time to time, take a few classes, dance classes. If I go play basketball, whatever, I like to stay fit. So I try to organize everything so that I can work on my athleticism and work towards my goals at the same time.
Mhm.
So it looks like this. Lower body session. I'm using kind of a conjugate method. Are you familiar with the conjugate style of training?
Yeah,
Right.
maybe talk about it briefly for those who don't know the concept.
Well, the concept was popularized by Louis Simmons, which is the head coach at the Westside Barbell, which is a powerlifting house where they have the strongest guys in the world that break all the records. And he learned this conjugate method from different trainers from the Soviet Union back then. And basically, the method says all training methods are good. You just have to learn how to combine them so that you can work on everything. You can work on your strength, you can work on your power, and you can build muscle. And I really like the idea, right? Because when you look at the linear style, the American style, you have to sacrifice something. If I work on power, I'm going to lose a little bit of muscle mass. If I work on maximal strength, I'm not going to work on power development. So I actually have been using this method for a long time, but now I do it in a different way. I'm not a power lifter. I'm not trying to be a power lifter. And I kind of use the same method with my clients, but then once again, I adjust the variables. So how I would do it, I would start with a plyometric exercise, for example. It could be or sprint, or something just to work on my power, to jack up my nervous system. I always start with something like that for my lower body days. Then, Then for one day, on Monday, I will focus on maximal strength for my lower body. Then I will move on to the next exercise, and it will be more bodybuilding style, focusing on repetitions and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So, in one workout, I get to improve my power, I get to improve my maximal strength, and I get to build muscle. So that's the good thing. And then I finish with a little bit of aerobic work because it's good for recovery, not too much because I don't want to confuse my body.
Mhm.
And then on the second day for the lower body work, I'll focus more on the dynamic method, which is another method. So we use sub-maximal loads and we just focus on speed. So the goal is to improve the rate of force development. And so same concept. I will start with some plyometric work. Then I would do less sets because I still have some dynamic work to do.
Mhm.
I would use the accommodating method. So with bands, mostly for me.
Yeah.
We don't really have chains here in Switzerland, unfortunately. So
I had to come by that.
yeah, I hope the team owners are going to start investing in that as well. So yeah, I use bands, and then same thing. Move on to the next lift, repetition style, and basically I try to focus. That's also another thing that I like to play with. One day is going to be more for the repetition style method. One day is going to be more focused on the anterior chain, and the second day more on the posterior chain. So that's how I like to break it down.
Yeah.
Then for the upper body, it's different because, as I said, I'm not a power lifter. I'm not trying to bench press 300 kilos. That's not my goal. I like to be fit. I like to go fast. And so I like to focus more on gymnastic strength. So one day I would focus more on improving my maximal strength with some gymnastics work, like handstand push-ups, one arm chin-up, stuff like that. And I really love gymnastic work because it has a huge carryover to lifting weights, you know. You can do a handstand push-up. It's easy to do a military press,
Yeah.
right? So that would be the first day, my first upper body day. Then repetition method. I use the bodybuilding style. I care about my look a little bit. Lately, I've been, caring about my look a little bit more. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's another rant of mine. But nowadays in this industry, you have.
We can get into that afterwards. I think it's important for people to hear it, that it's okay to want to look good. There's nothing wrong.
Yeah, it's okay to want to look good, right? So that's the thing. We have those camps today, but we'll keep it for later. I keep it for later. I'll save it. So bodybuilding style, I'll try to focus on the body part. Let's say if I want more chest, I'll focus on my chest. If I focus on my chest, for instance, one day I would focus more on hitting one angle. The second day, I'll focus on hitting different angles, and this is how it goes, So I always everything I do has to make sense, and this is how I train myself, and this is how I like to train my clients. If it makes no sense, I don't do it.
That's fair enough. If you can't justify why it's in the program, then it has no place being in the program, right?
Dude, there you go. You said it. And, I always said if you ask your coach why, and the guy can't answer, fire him. Fire him.
That's exactly.
Methods are great. We all know methods. There's no thought process behind it. Forget, right? And I see it a lot, especially me when I came with all those new training modalities from the States, and I saw a lot of people in the gym trying to copy me, or I would see them do stuff that they saw on Instagram, right? And I had taken the courses, or I know the methods, but I can see that they don't know why they're doing it.
Right.
And then it makes no sense. It has no value, right? Because if you don't know why you're doing something, it makes no sense doing it.
Exactly.
And I think that's a big problem in the industry. We just pick and choose certain exercises or certain training modalities because they are labeled as good or bad, and we just execute them, hoping for results. Right? Not to work that way. Unfortunately.
I don't want to forget about coming back to that rant of yours on being okay to want to look good. But before that, you talked about Louis Simmons as being an influence for you in terms of the, let's say, the overall training structure that you use and the powerlifting side. Do you have any specific influences when it comes to gymnastics work?
Gymnastics works. Yeah, I mean, Chris Summer is a big guy, with gymnastics bodies.
Yeah.
I would say he's a big influence of mine. I just like listening to him, obviously. I've taken gymnastics class myself as well. I don't have these guys are not big influencers, I wouldn't call them that way. I learned from them. And I have this Bruce Lee mentality, where you just learn from everyone. And I don't agree with everything they say. I just speak whatever makes sense to me, because I like to listen to people, and then I like to experiment. And then I'm like, okay, it makes sense. It works, or it doesn't work, or let me study it. I like to run my own studies. This is kind of how I approach my training. And, I just keep what works and I remove what doesn't work. So I learn from these guys for sure, but I learn from everyone. I'm constantly learning. I learn from the Soviet guys that Louis Simmons learned from,
Right.
I actually studied these guys before studying the Louis Simmons method.
Okay.
So I just try to learn from everyone, and I just keep what works, and I just remove what doesn't work, or at least what doesn't make sense for me. And all these guys have something good to bring to the table. So we can all learn from each other, for sure. And this is what I love about this fitness community. Even though let me step back. Some of them I don't agree with what everyone says, everyone does, because there's a lot of bullshit. But there's also a lot of good information. And the more you learn from different people, the more you develop your critical thinking, right? This is also why I have this. I always say this whenever I buy a book about a specific topic. I like to do my research, and I like to buy 3 books from different authors that discuss the same topic. And in the best world, they have different opinions so that I can develop my critical thinking and have my own way of seeing things. Because if you only read one book, then the author's opinion becomes your opinion. And this is a big problem in the industry. This is why also I dropped off of, school when I was in business school, because we don't teach you how to think. We just teach you protocols, and then you just use those protocols, and you don't even know if it's going to work, if it works or not. You never experimented it. You don't know any other approach. So yeah, this is why I also, if you go on my Instagram page, you'll see that's my biggest rant. Stop using protocols. Start using your brain, and yeah, that's how it should go.
I like that. I'll make sure we'll link your Instagram page in the description for sure. So let's go back to the idea that it's okay to want to look good. Go.
All right. So nowadays I see a lot of those camps when it comes to the fitness world. You have all these beefs for no reason. And me, like I said before, I like the conjugate method, and this is just the whole philosophy. We can use a little bit of everything, and it's okay to look good. I don't know what to start, man, because I have so much to say about this.
Over it.
But I think this new thing now, just do those functional exercises because you're going to live better. And first of all, I don't really know what functional exercises are, right?
Yeah.
If your body is not functioning well, then you can do all the functional exercises that you want. The exercises aren't functional, right? If your body ain't functioning well. So yeah, my biggest rant is, hey, if you want to look good, it's okay. It's totally fine. We all want to look good. We all appreciate a nice body, and it's okay. Be okay with it.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm always saying that you should prioritize health first.
Mm-hmm.
This is my philosophy, period. Prioritize health first. And trust me, if you prioritize health first, you'll look good. There's no other way. You will look good. If you train and you eat to be healthy, you will look good.
Can you tell us about your overall coaching philosophy? I think you told us a few bits and pieces already, the conjugate method, how you come into working with different populations, but overall, what are your overarching principles? What do you stick to?
Like I mentioned before, I would say my training philosophy could be summed up by one phrase: prioritize health first and strengthen the basics. This is my training philosophy. Health first, put it first. Mandatory. Eat properly. Don't sacrifice your health for performance. It's not worth it in the long run. And then I like to say stick to the basics, because nowadays in this industry, you have a lot of fancy stuff and fancy new training modalities, and nothing beats the basics. Be strong at the basics, and you can always improve the basics. And I'm a gym guy. I'm a strength guy. I work in a gym facility. 99% of our work should consist of general prep. That's it. That's general prep. There's room for specificity, like I said, with athletes. And once again, it's anywhere from 1 to 5%. That's it. And I'm a trainer. I'm not an entertainer. I'm not here to entertain people. Stick to the basics. Get fucking strong at the basics, and you'll see the carry over to everything else is gonna be huge. I like to call it free gains, and that's it. That's my training philosophy. What about yours? I'd love to hear yours.
I like it. I think like what resonates a lot is you talking about the basics, and just always coming back to that, and always trying to do everything oriented towards the person's goal and who that person is. It's all about context. I was listening to one of your podcasts, and you were talking about bodybuilding versus cardio, and how people put things against each other, and how it's very black and white. It's all gray. It's all in the middle. The only absolute I've found so far in the health slash fitness world is that more sleep is better. You can't have too much.
Right.
People that tell you I slept too much, now I'm too tired. No, that means you're like starting to pay off your sleep debt. You need 3 more weeks of this, and then you'll feel amazing. That's the only
Right.
absolute that I know of. Everything else is shades of gray and dependent on the person and the goal. So that's kind of the direction that I take with my clients and my philosophy.
Yeah, I love it, man. It's true. It's always context dependent, and the best answer is always it depends.
Right.
It depends is the best answer. So I can only agree with you, and this is how it should be.
Yeah. In terms of both your coaching and your life, who maybe one or two people that have influenced you the most?
Well, my life, I would say my mother. She's a hardworking woman, so I definitely got my work ethic from her,
Mm.
100%. She's restless. I'm restless as well. I like to work. I get bored, so I definitely got it from her, and I'm very thankful. She taught me good manners as well. So in terms of life, she's the one. When it comes to fitness, I mentioned my fitness mentor, AB.
Yeah.
I'll forever be thankful for everything he taught me. Um, I think he's the one who guided me to the right path to
Yeah.
really understand what coaching was, um, how important that could be, and how important it is to keep learning, to keep improving, so that you keep on delivering the best service to your clients. So definitely, my guy AB. Shout out to my guy AB. Um, he's my guy forever, and that's why I call him my fitness mentor. Today I'm proud because he calls me to pick my brain, and that's funny, right? And I'm so happy because this is just me paying back, but he taught me a lot. So I'm I'm super thankful.
That's awesome. What then in terms of books, if you had to think of 2 or 3 books that have had the most impact on you?
In terms of boxing,
No, sorry, books or reading.
books. Uh, oh, oh, a lot.
You got to pick two.
Training books.
You got to pick
Sorry,
2 or 3.
2 or 3. Man, if you can look at my shelf here, I have a bunch. Um, I would say it has nothing to do with training, but Rich Dad Poor Dad from Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah,
You know that one?
I read it. Yeah,
Yeah, right. So that one it really taught me a lot of things. How to think outside the box. Um, then I love self-help books. So I like Power from Robert Greene
hmm
as well. Simply, I love and hate that book actually because yeah, it's funny when you read it, you kind of exposes the dark side of the human nature. As you read it, I read it twice, and when I read it the first time, it didn't impact me that much. But then with more life experience, when I read it back, it's kind of hard for me to read it because it hits me every time. I read a new chapter, I'm like, oh fuck, he knew it, and I can't relate to what he's saying. So I had to stop reading it I had to take breaks the
yeah.
second time I read it. But I would say that book had a huge impact on me. And then which one? Let me look at my shelf right here because
Let's pick a training book since you talked about two books that were more say economics and then self help. Pick a training book.
training book. Um, I could pick a training book, but I would pick another one. So
hmm
I would recommend one book, and I think everyone should read it because health comes first. It's Healthy Gut, Healthy You
Yeah,
by Dr. Ruscio.
yeah,
It's a very good one. He explains everything in detail in a very simple manner, and I think everyone can understand it, and you understand how important it is to take care of your gut. And if you can't take care of your gut, then that's it. I wouldn't recommend any training books on top of my head because maybe Super Training is a good one.
Mhm.
But as I said, I just pick and choose. There's certain things that I read, I love it. Then I just, you know, remove the rest. So there's no training book that I've read from A to Z, and I was like, oh, okay, this is it. I love this book. So I think when it comes to training, you really have to learn from different people, read about different methods, and then you create your own method. And you read the research and you experiment. This is how it works because there's a huge gap between textbooks and reality as well. So you got to try. You got to be there on the field, in the gym, lifting weights, banging weights, trying with yourself, trying with your clients, and this is how you learn how to program things and how to individualize things. This is my philosophy of training.
So before we end the show, thanks again for coming on. I want to ask you a couple smaller questions. If you can maybe try and answer them, let's say 60 seconds or less.
Right.
Try to think of one thing you like to see more of in the fitness industry.
I would like to see more of. I would like to see more trainers that give a shit. That's what I like to see more of. You know, people like you, people that want to try to make things happen, that really care about what they do, that take this fitness journey as a real career, not just a side hustle. And that's what I love, you know, about this industry. People that give a shit because they are so valuable and so important for our industry.
What about something you'd like to see less of in the industry? You got to pick one. It's a
Right.
tough one.
Oh God, did you say one? Oh no. Gotta pick one. I would like to see less of the quick fix mentality. This is what I would like to see less of. By quick fix mentality, I see, you know, you see those new trends where people are trying to achieve more in less time. So use this training modality in 20 minutes. It does more than the other training modality in 60 minutes. Just take this pill. Just rub your stomach with this cream, and you're gonna burn off your fat. You know, and I think it's a bad message that some fitness personalities are promoting. I just hate it, and I hope that it will change with time, and people will realize that it's all about making time. You have to put in the work, and there's no other way around it. This is how it works.
And lastly, where can people find you online?
Well, you can find me on Instagram. My Instagram page is kswiss_fit, and you can find me on my website as well, move365.com.
Great, Kevin. I'll link all that in the description below and in the show notes. Thanks a lot for coming on today, bud.
Yeah, buddy. Thank you very much, and thanks for making it happen. And once again, I appreciate working with people that are passionate like you and trying to take this fitness industry to the next level. So keep it up.
Thanks.